Well, this is tape 2, step 2 of the 8-step pattern. The first step was define your why, your dreams, your goals, your reason, your purpose, something that's going to make you passionate, something that's you're going to get obsessed and possessed, something that's a burning desire that you have, that you can't live without. That's the key ingredient. This tape is the not fun tape. This talk is the not fun talk. This is where the rubber meets the road and most people have a blowout. Because this one is called Make Some Commitments. And this is the reason most people do not succeed at this endeavor, is because they don't make the necessary commitments to be successful. I was always amazed over all the years at all the people who had their dream part was easy. They could list these goals, they could show me pictures, they could tell me about things they wanted, the houses, the cars, the travel, the clothes, the early retirement, to leave their job, to bring the spouse home, whatever it was, the airplanes, the motor homes, whatever they wanted. That's the easy part. Dreaming is not difficult to do. But then when it comes down to this part, which is the work, the doing, the commitment to be willing to do the necessary things it takes to develop the skills and the attributes and the habits to reach those goals and dreams, this is where it gets tough and we separate the men from the boys. Unfortunately, anyone can do the things I'm about to talk about. Very few will do. And I don't know whether you will or not. It's not a matter of can, it's a matter of will. You have to be willing to accept some things. The first thing you have to accept is, here I go with the cliches again, but they were effective with me and I still love hearing myself say them because I need to hear them. Number one is, you are where you are because of two things. Well, really one thing. You are where you are because of the choices you have made to get you where you are. If you can't accept and deal with that, then you're probably not going to be able to handle the rest. The first thing you got to do is be honest with yourself. You chose. You made all the choices to get you where you are in life. You've made the choice to become who you are at this point in your life. And you have to be willing to humble yourself a little bit and accept, if I'm going to have something different in life, then I have to choose and make some different choices, and I have to recognize I have to do something different than what I've been doing, because what I've been doing isn't getting me where I want to go. And if I don't change my direction, I'm going to end up, where I've been. If you want something to be different, do something different. If you want to do something different and be something different, you got to be different. You got to change what you're doing, and you got to change who you are. That means you're going to have to work on yourself. Not easy, guys. Not easy at all. Change is the scariest word in the human language. We hate change. But we have to recognize if we don't change our direction, we are going to end up where we're headed. And if we don't change who we are, nothing else can change. So therefore, it's essential. The first commitment you need to make is, I am going to grow myself. I'm going to grow. I'm going to learn. I'm going to change my attitude. How do you do that? Read. Listen. Counsel. You need to read. Magic of thinking big. You need to devour it. You need to study it. You need to read it and read it and read it, and then you need to learn to apply it. You need to read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. You need to read Magic. You need to read Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol. You need to read See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. You need to devour anything and everything you can find by Jim Rome and Les Brown and some of the greats. You need to listen to the audio tapes. They're free on YouTube. You're going to have to become a student. You're going to have to get addicted to listening and learning to apply the things that are going to help you grow and change. And you got to change what you do. Basically, you have to learn to focus and set some priorities. You can't keep putting the priority on what you're doing that's not getting you where you want to go. Now, if you got a job, I encourage you to do the best, be the best you've ever been on that job. Go in there and do it better than you've ever done it. But understand, that's not your future. That becomes temporary. Don't let the temporary, don't let the urgent get in front of the important. What's important is that you start putting the time, energy, and effort into the things that are going to get you where you want to go. You've got to start putting time, energy, and effort into the things that are going to help you progress towards your dream on a daily basis. And let's get down to some of the commitments you have to make. Number one, priority, focus. How big do you see this? How bad, how good do you want it? How soon do you want it? What's it worth? I used to tell people, it used to drive me nuts. You know, how much time am I going to need to put into this? It's going to take more than a few hours a week. And I'm not all that nice with people. I don't have a high stupidity tolerance. And I usually would say something like, well, how many hours do you work now? 40, 50? Okay. How long you been doing that? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Has it, and all of that time and energy and effort, has it gotten you where you want to be? I mean, if it had, we probably wouldn't be talking. So if you keep doing it for the next 5, 10, 15 years, 40, 50 hours a week, is it going to get you the dreams and goals that you're talking about you want to have? Then how much time and effort are you willing to put in something that can get you where you want to go? I mean, wouldn't you at least be willing to put in equal time? Now, you don't have to do that. I'm just talking about an attitude that you need to develop here. Wouldn't it be worth at least equal time? I mean, wouldn't it be worth at least 10, 15 hours a week of your time? And people say, well, I don't have time. Oh, don't tell me that. I'm sorry, I don't buy that. You know, you got the same time everybody's got. We've all got the same time. It's a question of how we use that time. You're going to have to change the way you use them. You may have to give up some things that are time stealers, that are dream stealers. Number one, in my opinion, is the thing called the TV. That is the biggest dream stealer of all time. It's an escape device from up to you. You may have to, give up some of that TV time. You may have to give up some of that wasted time that you do. So maybe some of the recreational things you might have to temporarily put aside. You've got to give up what you want to get. If you want time, you're going to have to invest some time. Now, there's a difference between spending and exchanging time, which is what job and the corporate mentality is. You're going to swap so many hours, so many days, so many hours a day, so many hours a week, a month, 40 years, 100,000 hours to get where? That's swapping. That's exchanging. Here you're going to invest. You're going to begin to build a reserve. You're going to begin to develop residual income. You're going to begin to put, what residual is putting time in once and getting paid multiple times for it. Putting time in for a short period to get paid forever. In the Amway business, I broke my first direct about 11 months into the business. I broke my first, what we call direct, first person that I got to 7,500 volume, about $20,000 a month in business, and I was making, $600, $700 residual. It took me 11 months to break that first direct, and I started drawing what was called 4%. Residual check every month. I drew that check from that first direct for 32 years. 32 years. After 11 years, after 11 months of developing that organization never stopped paying me a 4% check for 32 years until I sold the business, and it was still paying a 4% check every month. I put a lot of effort in it those first 11 months. I put a little effort in it after that, but then it was like a few hours a month, and then sometimes it eventually reached points I didn't put any effort in that. But after a couple, 2 or 3 years, I don't think I put any effort into that. I went in and spoke once in a while, did a seminar once in a while, and they paid me for that. They paid me really well. I paid as much as $1,000 an hour to go in and talk and do seminars. But it was residual because I'd invested the time. So you got to learn that you're going to invest time and energy here. It's going to multiply and grow. It doesn't add, it multiplies, and it's going to build. So you've got to give it the priority that your dream deserves. What's the size of your dream? How fast you want? What priority does this endeavor, I hate the term business, what priority does this deserve? What do you let get ahead of it? What has priority over it? What's your focus? What's your commitment? What's the intensity? What's the level of your commitment? What's the level of your passion? That's the most important commitment decision you're going to make, is how big do you want this to be? How big do you see it? How soon do you want it? And what level of commitment and intensity and passion and focus and priority are you going to give it to get that kind of return? You're only going to get out based on what you put in. So this has to become as important as the dream you're doing it to achieve is to you. That's the commitment. Your next commitment is, I've already covered, but I'm going to cover it again. You have to understand your student again. You have to be willing to listen. You have to be coachable. You have to be teachable. You have to find a mentor in your up team, someone who has what you want and can teach you what they know. I've already made a tape applying for a job as your coach. If you'd like me to be that person, I'd be more than willing if you're willing to listen and be coachable. You need to make a commitment to put and invest time in yourself. That has to take priority pretty much over everything else. You have to be willing to be coachable and teachable. You have to be willing to listen. You have to be willing to apply. Listen, learn, and apply. You have to be willing to read books. You have to listen to the audios. You have to become addicted to that. You have to form the habits. You have to develop the discipline. You have to develop tenacious. You have to learn that everybody in the world wants you to fail because they're failing. They want you. There's this crab mentality. You put blue crabs in a bucket. Put one blue crab in a 5-gallon bucket, he'll climb out because he knows he's going to die if he stays in there. All right? Put 2 crabs in there, they're both going to die because every time one tries to crawl out, the other one pulls him back down. And that's the way a lot of people are. They really don't want you to succeed because it reflects back on their failure. You have to learn that you have to reprogram your mind. Zig used to do a thing about, Zig's a good friend of mine, used to do a thing about fleas in a can. You know, you can put fleas in a coffee can with the lid off, and they'll jump out. I mean, they're going to die if they stay in again. They can jump like unbelievable, 50 times their height or something, and they'll jump out of this little coffee can. But here's the thing. Put the lid back on the can. They'll continue to try to jump out for a while. They'll bang their head on the lid. Bam, bam, bam. And after a while, they say, well, this hurts, and I'm going to quit doing it. And they stop jumping. They'll start jumping just short of the lid. And when that happens, you can take the lid off, and the fleas will die. They can never jump out of the can again. They've retrained their mind. We do that. It's not just fleas. Elephants. You ever been to a circus? They have elephants tied to a little stake with a little rope. Do you know that elephant can jerk that stake out of the ground with no problem? How come he doesn't do that? Because when he was a young elephant, they tied a steel cable and a 6-foot stake into the ground, and he would try to pull it, and it would hurt his leg and wear raw. And he realizes that it hurts. It's rare. I can't do it, and he doesn't try anymore. And the minute he stops trying, they take the steel cable off. They put a little stake in the ground and tie a rope around. He doesn't ever try it again. Sometimes we're like that. A lot of times we're like that. We get this job and everything, and we get refocused that this is what we're worth, and this is who we are, and this is all we can be. The first commitment you got to make is believe in yourself. Believe it's possible. Believe you can change. Believe you can become. Believe you can get better. Believe you can overcome. There's no joy in the world like overcoming fears and doing things you never thought you could. You're going to be so proud of yourself. And that's, in my opinion, the ultimate base for happiness, is feeling good about yourself and feeling good about who you are. Overcoming. You've got to commit to learning. Commit to applying what you learn. Commit to becoming better every day. Becoming better at the skills that this is going to take. And we'll talk about some of those skills down the road. You're going to be willing to commit some degree of finances. Most of these businesses don't require a lot. This particular business I'm in now, it's nothing. You don't invest anything. You simply change where you're shopping. You spend the same money you're spending, yourself spend less. But you have to be willing to make the commitment. You got to follow the program. You got to do what the program requires. The next aspect of this is making the list and contacting. And that's a major commitment that you have to be willing to do. So if you're willing to do what I've talked about so far, your success is guaranteed. You can't fail here. If you will do what is necessary, you cannot fail. Just be willing to have a dream big enough that it's worth making the commitment. We'll talk to you on the next talk. It'll be a little more of this and a little more making the list.